And we're live. All right. Thank you, Alex, for joining me here today for Random Thoughts.
Thank you for having me, as always.
So in this little segment, we like to discuss just small things we've been playing, little game news that's really jumped out to us.
Yeah.
Now, Alex, I think I would like to ask you to go first because you actually did some streaming on our behalf this last week, of which I am incredibly grateful for.
Oh, I'm happy to do it. It was a fun time. The stream itself was fun. I know we were talking about the game itself, and of course, Battle Chef Brigade is a very good game, but man, it's a very challenging one too. I definitely want to get back to it at some point just because I want to see where the story goes, and I really appreciate the art style behind it. But yeah, it's definitely not for everybody, I suppose, but it is very good though.
Now, what about it? I noticed when you were starting the stream, it kind of threw a lot at you real fast. Would that be accurate?
That's accurate. I think when we were talking about it a little bit before the stream began, where I felt like I streamed it for about 4 hours on Tuesday, and by the end of that 4 hours, I still wasn't very comfortable. Like I was still in the midst of getting my sea legs, I felt. Usually, like for a lot of games, there's going to be some awkwardness at the beginning. You learn the controls, you learn the game mechanics, and then after a while, you're off to the races. Then it might throw you some new mechanics, and you'll adjust and adapt. But for the most part, you'll be fairly stable. But I felt like after that first 4 hours, I was still really in a state of like, what the crap am I doing? And I was still enjoying myself. I don't want to make it sound like I was miserable. I was still enjoying the game, but it definitely was something that I wasn't expecting, wasn't prepared for. Just the fact that, like you'd said, they are throwing a lot at you. But I mean, I don't know. I feel like they didn't do a bad job of explaining the mechanics or do a bad job of explaining the controls. Like I don't blame the there's a good word for this, but I don't know. I don't like blame how it instructs the player. I think it's just more of the fact that the game is trying to do a whole lot, kind of all at once.
Now, I would recommend anybody who does end up watching this, because there's nobody right now, but anybody who does, it's fine. Yeah. To watch our interview, because we actually talk about the multiple iterations the game went through, how it used to at one point involve like using the size of the kitchen, or how at one point there was like a spectrum of gritty versus gooey versus sweet. It used to, like they went through a ton of iterations. It's a fascinating interview. Yeah, it's also our shortest interview so far. So less time,
short and sweet, just like
Now, it's interesting. What did you think about the jobs you could do before each actual competition you had? I found those to be incredibly helpful for teaching me mechanics.
They 100% were. They really, like in the case of so there was the first one where it was like really just puzzle solving, no time limit or anything like that. I found that one to be the most helpful, if not just because for me the hardest segments were the cooking. Well, I mean, all of it together, of course, is challenging, but like the trickiest part was like assembling the meal together once you've got the ingredients and all that jazz. And I felt like that did a really good job of really driving home the essentials, the basics of making like the pattern matching work the right way that you want to. So yeah, I'm glad that you suggested that, and I took that suggestion to heart because I did all of them, but that was the one that I found to be the most beneficial.
That one I thought was definitely the most beneficial. Not to down on it, but I found the hunting one to be. I mean, you knew how to kill stuff.
It wasn't like a wasted time or anything, but it was like after the first two, you were like, okay, we're good.
I get that.
It was
And the second one, the final one, did really well about teaching you to put together speed combinations.
Yes.
So I also wonder if you were at a bit of a disadvantage since you were using a PC as opposed to console, but I don't know.
The controls were a little bit weird, and that might have been part of it. Like I said, I was still trying to get used to the game, and I did find even at around the 4th hour, I was still flubbing with the controls, but maybe that was because using the mouse and keyboard, maybe I should have modified it past the default settings. Maybe I should have just plugged it to the controller. It didn't occur to me, but that would make sense.
Now, where did you get plot-wise, out of curiosity? Because I found as the game kept progressing, they were introducing new mechanics that were a little intense. Specifically, the ones that didn't bother me much were adding the bone pieces.
Yes.
But did you get to fragile taste gems or poison?
I didn't get to poison. I did get to the bone gems. So storyline-wise, I got to the point where there's like I had 4 wins under my belt, and then there was an incident where the protagonist had to go back to her hometown.
Look at you avoiding
I'm trying to be
spoils.
as generic as possible. But yeah, so that was like the most recent significant event. She was back in her hometown and doing stuff around the home base, her family restaurant. And I remember the bones. I remember like the what were they called? I can't remember what they were called. It was like a point bonus you could get if you achieved certain specific criteria.
So yeah, you could get books,
yes,
so to speak.
Those tomes, yeah.
And I actually do mention, sorry to keep referencing back to the interview.
No, please. This is a good confluence of two things.
So in the interview, I talk about how I had a particular loadout, as it were, because near the end of the game, you were about to be introduced to a mechanic that made the game so difficult for me. And that was the introduction of a poison mechanic.
Okay.
And if you had the poison in your dish when you gave it to them, negative points, obviously.
Shocking.
Right? But if you rotated the poison pieces too often, it would cause them to infect other pieces. So my loadout, so you had to balance a whole bunch of different ideas at the same time. And by the end of the game, it gets hard.
Yeah.
So for the last 2 or 3 chapters, there was and this is how I game the system, and I'm not proud of this. For the last 2 or 3 chapters, what I did was they would give the ingredient, and because without, avoiding spoilers like you were doing, animals can carry the poison.
Mm-hmm.
What I would do is I would kill like 3 of those animals, make a dish for each of the judges that had one of those pieces, and then I would use a tome that gave you a huge bonus if you only used vegetables. So I would use the cutting board to cut out everything that would be difficult.
Uh-huh.
Like if this guy goes, I want all red pieces, it'd be like, all right, throw that in, cut out everything that's not red, and
so
put it together. And I think you get a piece of cookware that duplicates gems.
Ooh.
So what I would do is I would create a dish that had like 4 level 3 gems in it, and then I would throw it into the other thing and go make a dish for somebody else.
Yeah, like would it just do that over time, like a slow cooker, for instance?
Yeah, it might even be called a slow cooker, honestly.
Well, the slow cooker like buffs gems. It doesn't duplicate though, but it was a similar mechanic.
This was a magic something.
Ooh.
So
a slower cooker.
So I asked the guy when I had him on, I go, did you know anybody else who was using this? He goes, you were doing a vegetarian with a duplicate and a thing? Like, I'm not familiar with that one, because that's how I cheesed like the last third of the game, because I was really interested in where the plot was going. Because again, without getting too into it, it was interesting that they focused more on the characters than the world, which I thought was a huge benefit to the story.
I agree.
Because it could have gone all grim, dark, oh, we got to save the world with our cooking. It's like, you're not really getting the vibe of what you guys are, and they did.
Yeah.
So that was one of the big reasons that I wanted. God, I can't believe how hard it is to give people things to play. Like, I couldn't find anybody who's like, please just play this.
Yeah.
Because that's the big thing to me is when you say it on paper that it's Iron Chef plus Monster Hunter with some Candy Crush thrown in there. People are like, that sounds interesting. But it's not until you see it in action that you're like, oh. Yeah. So that's why I wanted to get more people streaming it. Because apparently, and knock on wood, I apologize if I'm speaking out of turn if the guys ever actually watched this. Apparently the game's not doing as well as they thought it would. Yeah. Which is a bummer, because this is a concept that I found fascinating from the get-go. Yeah. And I really wanted it to do better. Sure. And I know I'm just one dude in the Midwest, but do your part.
Yeah. So I feel you, man. I feel you. I think it's a very noble thing to see. Like it's a good opportunity to see that. Like, oh, here's a developer that's done something very different and unique. How can I champion this and help push it along? I definitely understand the same kind of notion that you'd mentioned, where it's like, I like your description of Iron Chef plus other things. And I was streaming it. I said it was like part Cook Serve Delicious, parts Candy Crush, parts side scroller beat 'em up. And I remember, like, after the stream, I was thinking about it. I was like, man, I enjoyed the game, but why wasn't I like? There was some part of it that I don't know. I'm still not sure how I feel about the game. But one of the things that I keep coming back to is that I don't know if I know anybody that I could recommend this game to.
So I think one thing that it could do to benefit, and one, I think they need to have a demo out there. I think it's really hard to sell this game to people without a demo.
Yeah.
Two, they need to put in an easy mode, not to be crappy, but like watching you play that first chapter, I don't know how people played that on PC. Like that looked really hard to control.
It was weird. And again, maybe I should have like scrutinized the controls a little bit more. I remember looking at the controls ahead of time and being like, these seem a little bit weird, but you know what? They're the defaults. I'm just gonna YOLO it. I'm sure it'll be fine. And it wasn't not fine, but it was an uphill battle.
Well, and that was another thing. I had this complaint with Batman Arkham Knight, where there were 3 different control schemes in this game, approximately.
Yeah.
So having to switch directly from this is magic here to this is light the fire here, it made sense because it was the same fire, but at the same time, you're using the same button for 3 different things in this game.
Yeah.
So I think the game would benefit from them adding an additional easy mode on top of it.
Yeah.
Because there's so much about the game. Like, I hate dumbing down a game to make it more accessible, but this isn't Dark Souls. You guys made a game you want people to enjoy.
Yeah.
So I would just make it so the opposing people didn't make as aggressive of dishes. Because without exaggeration, I think in the last chef battle, like, I had to make 500-point dishes to beat the other.
Wow.
It's insane.
Dang, man, that's rough.
And you can tell sometimes when they felt like they were shoehorning in elements that they felt were necessary. Did you play the first BioShock?
No, not yet.
First BioShock, at the end of the first BioShock, they're not yet. It's like 12 years old.
So I will preface this with a sentence that I say all the darn time is that I'm really weird. I want to play through System Shock first, System Shock 1 and 2, because I want to go all the way back. Because I've heard the series is phenomenal, but I want to truly appreciate everything there is about it. So I want to YOLO it.
I'll
just go all in.
I came in at BioShock, and anyways, to touch on that, at the end of the first BioShock game, they had a boss. Mm-hmm. There were no other bosses in the game, and Ken Levine, the guy who basically ran the development of it, he's like, yeah, we thought we had to have a boss. We knew it was tonally not appropriate, but we thought we had to have one. Yeah. So you can see something similar in Battle Chef Brigade. At one point, you fight a big enemy that's obviously analogous to a boss fight.
Right.
But they're like, like we feel we got to do this at least once.
Yeah.
So anyways, demo and an easier difficulty mode. That's the 2 suggestions I would have to those guys. Mm-hmm. And I actually did make the demo suggestion. If I had been closer to, I may have made the easier difficulty suggestion.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like there's only so many suggestions you can give to a guy who you bought the thing.
Yeah.
Like, and it's not, it's constructive. It's not like, hey, maybe make a less crappy game. Like, that's rude.
Yeah. No, I feel you. And you don't want to like overstep your boundaries, of course.
Right.
I think those are valid suggestions.
So, here, if you're listening, guys, like I really did enjoy the game.
It's a really good game. It really is.
So, who would you recommend this game for? People who are a fan of puzzle games, I would recommend it to them. And people who are a fan of like your non-standard fare. Okay. Like people who don't, so this is definitely puzzle. This is definitely fantasy. And I wouldn't even put the action part in there because that, like, killing the monsters is fun and engaging, but they punish you so little for death in there. I wouldn't even say that's a thing.
Yeah.
So definitely puzzle game people. So I would recommend it to first and foremost, but to your quote unquote casual puzzle player, that's why you need an easy mode.
Right.
Because like, for example, if I had recommended this to a different friend of ours, I know he would have got about 3 chapters and be like, no, this is getting too hard, done. Yeah. Well, at that point, you need to bump it down to Baby Town Frolic so you can see the rest of the game. Yeah. But we've taken up plenty of time talking about this. What else have you been playing?
Well, as far as stuff that I've been playing, I mean, I'll confess most of my video game time is dedicated to the stuff that I'm playing on stream. Mm-hmm. So this is the part where Alex talks about what he's streaming.
Go for it.
To try and draw more. No, I'm not trying to self-promote, I promise. But the biggest thing lately, I'll limit this part to 2 things. I played through Soma recently.
Oh, we have to talk about. So I saw that on I saw that on your 24-hour stream.
Yes,
you have to talk about Soma.
I began it at about the 13-hour mark and then played it for the rest of the time.
Yeah.
I didn't beat it in that sitting.
You had to be close.
But I was about 2/3 in. I got the second suit right at the end.
Man, you really stopped to smell the roses on that one, huh?
Yes, I did, actually.
Okay.
Yes, I really savored it. It was really good.
Woo. Okay. We'll talk about that more.
Yes.
I think that's what we'll end up filling up the rest of the time with.
Yeah.
Because, oh my God, that
it was good. And I never played Amnesia. I never played Penumbra. This was my first entry in this developer's game. So it was awesome.
I want to get the frictional guys on so bad.
That would be sick. That'd be awesome, dude.
Okay, but anyways, what else?
But the other thing was a much less exciting. Well, I mean, I still enjoy it, but it's much less like sexy and exciting. OG Quake, like Quake 1, mods for Quake 1. There's a mod collection called Arcane Dimensions. It's like a collection of like, I don't know, 10 or maybe 12 custom maps that they're all within the same mod. And each map is itself a self-contained thing with its own unique direction and its own unique themes and that kind of thing. But there are some overarching themes across all of the levels, and there are like custom enemies and custom weapons that are recurring throughout all of them. But each like individual level within this mod pack, I guess you would say, is really well done. It was recommended to me by one of my regular viewers and one of my mods that because he's really big into Quake and Unreal Tournament, like the old school stuff, and he knows that I'm casually into that kind of stuff too. And he said that it was like his favorite Quake mod to date, and I can see why. It's really dang good. It's called Arcane Dimensions, and it wasn't like very hard to set up or anything. Some of the mod stuff for old school games can be a little bit finicky when it comes to getting it running, but it works just fine. And yeah, I'm really digging it. I kind of want to dig up more weird and bonkers Quake mods as a result of this.
Duly noted. All right. So I'll just run through my game thing real fast. I can't remember if I've talked about this much, but I don't think I talked about this on here anytime recently. So first and foremost, a while back, Konami released a Picross collection.
Yeah.
I love Picross.
Sure.
I'm just going to throw that out there.
No shit.
It's a free game. There's like 500 Picrosses.
There are.
Yeah. No, like in the game.
Oh, jeez.
So I've got about, let's see, it's 0.2% for every one you complete. So that would put you at 1% for, so yeah, about 500 of these. Whew, I'm at 66% completed. When they released the Zelda Twilight Princess Picross I picked that up immediately, and I think I put 25 hours in like a week.
That's awesome.
So, oh God, I love Picross. But past that, you may have seen this. It was making the rounds. Toby Fox, actually, he's like, hey, come back to the Undertale Twitter in a day because a thing's going to happen.
Did a thing happen?
They are like, oh, we're releasing a game we're releasing a program for a survey program. People are like, okay. So I downloaded it, and I guess all the gaming journalists actually did what he asked them to do and not spoil everything. Because I downloaded it, I'm like, okay, I make a character, and then I guess I use it for a different game. This was a 3-hour game he released for free.
Yeah.
So about 2.5 hours into this, I'm like, oh, I guess I'm just playing through all of this tonight.
Yep.
And so if there's one thing that I would say he did wrong in it, it's he shouldn't have tied it whatsoever to Undertale because it is definitely okay, never mind. It is a good, unique experience that is entirely separate from Undertale, except in the last second-ish.
Okay.
It kind of ties. It might tie in. Like, it could have been a whole big thing. Yeah. I don't want to spoil it.
That's fair.
But at the very tail end, you're like, oh no. It was good though. There wasn't nearly as much of an emphasis on choice in this, which they kind of level set your expectations in the beginning. I won't spoil that. And the off chance you ever play it, they do a thing at the very beginning that makes you go, oh, this is different. It was a free 3-hour game. If you enjoyed Undertale, you should check it out. If you have 3 hours to kill, you should check it out. I'm going to end up buying the soundtrack for $7 on Bandcamp. If he puts up a Kickstarter for it, I'll probably end up kickstarting it as well. So it is a good time.
That's cool.
And the final note before we get into Soma, the final gaming note, then I'm just going to say just a brief game news thing, very brief. So I've been playing I've been playing Darksiders 2. I think this is where I'm getting off the Darksiders train.
Think so?
Like, don't get me wrong, it's not bad. In fact, compared to the first game, I think I talked this up on here a while back. The first game starts, it's like, butt rock, fire from the sky. I am a horseman of the apocalypse, fight a giant demon. And at the beginning of the second game, you're all by yourself climbing up an ice mountain set to orchestral music. Like, it's all isolation and ice, and it's the polar opposite. So coming off the first Darksiders, I'm like, this doesn't feel nearly as 2006.
Yeah.
I am for this.
No.
But as it's dragged on, none of the characters have any sense of impetus. Like, there's nothing, nobody cares.
Right.
Like, it feels like they took a story that had 4 parts and chopped it up into 4 games. They're like, here's the first one. If people buy enough of it, here's the second one. So I feel like when it's all said and done, if it all sells well enough, they'll put them all together and be like, here's an 80-hour game where you can pick your characters at your own will.
Yeah.
But I'm just not feeling it right now. Like, I have no problem spoiling this one. So your character is trying to resurrect the souls of every human on Earth.
Okay.
And you just, like, you don't care about the fact, you don't seem to care about the fact you're trying to save your brother. You're like, oh, I have to go kill this Cthulhu monster to save 6 billion souls so my brother can't be judged anymore. Okay, I did it. Oh, wait, they're not back yet. Why? Like, you don't care.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
Yeah.
So why would I care?
Yeah, that's a fair question.
So, but I'm close enough to the end that I'm going to see it through otherwise. But I'm near the tail end of the game. It's like, oh, you need to get to the thing that'll bring back all the humans. Let's have a triple nested fetch quest.
Oh, boy.
Like, you're going to go fetch a key that's actually 2 keys. And while fetching one of the keys, you have to go and put a rod together that's somewhere else. This is stupid.
Yeah. Sounds like they were trying to really pad that game time out for the Metacritic requirement.
Oh, God. So anyways, last bit, I won't go too much into game stuff other than Black Friday's coming up. Oh, I am going to sink some dollars into that.
I'm going to make some ill-advised purchases.
No, I'm going to be great advised purchases. Right over here, I got my spreadsheet.
Oh, I like it.
So I got on here, God of War is on sale 3 places for $25. Final Fantasy 15 Royal Edition. There's a little bit of note there. Did you see that the other 3 DLCs for 15 got canceled?
I did see, and I saw your response to it too.
They didn't cancel the one I cared about.
The one you want,
yeah. So that's going to be $20 one place. And then Assassin's Creed Odyssey, despite the fact it came out last month, will be $30 at Best Buy.
Wow, that's really good. I'm actually impressed that you have all this information already.
Yes. So Target, Walmart, and Best Buy, theirs have come out. I'm waiting on GameStop and Amazon still. Amazon always price matches. I try to do Best Buy because I have a Best Buy credit card. Yeah. And that's how you get them points.
That's how you do it.
Right. Other than that, I don't expect any sales on Red Dead Redemption 2, which I really want to play.
Yeah.
Luigi's Mansion, which I kind of want to. I loved it on GameCube, and I loved it when I replayed it on GameCube. But Luigi's Mansion 2 was not as strong as the first one. They abandoned the free roaming aspect for a more mission focus. And I just didn't feel it the same.
Oh, I loved it.
I
love the second one more.
I love
really? Yeah.
Wow.
I loved it a lot more, honestly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
First one was good. Don't get me wrong, but it was just so short.
Yeah, it was so short. I liked the freedom of the first one. Yeah. Like, I liked being able to wander around. And don't get me wrong, it was short, but I also kind of liked, I don't know, I like the approach better.
It was good. I mean, I love the first one. I just don't like the second one. It was more, for me, it was more polished.
Well, obviously.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, the design was like, for me, like, everything about it was like, I don't know, I didn't miss the free roaming exploration. I liked the exploration, but I like, at no point when I play it, while I was playing it, was I like, I wish I was just roaming around a mansion. It was like, this is all, like, I don't know, each level was great.
Well, I guess that's the problem I had with the mission as opposed to the free roaming was in their mission sets, you still kind of free roam. They just kind of made the missions episodic of where you were roaming.
Yeah, it was multiple mansions.
Right. So I guess I would have liked, in my personal opinion, I would have liked the second one better as if they just basically let you free roam around 5 different mansions or however many it was. But that's my approach. I would probably, if they go on sale, I'll pick up Luigi's Mansion because I did enjoy it.
Yeah.
But it's also, what, a 15-year-old game at this point? Ish.
Yeah.
Other than that, what else we got? Oh, Shadow of War Deluxe Edition. That's going on sale for $20.
Wow.
Awesome.
Already.
The Gold Edition had already gone down to that number. And this is just the Gold Edition in new paint.
Okay.
So, I got many games to
That's
purchase.
awesome. And they are well advised. That is correct. That is awesome.
Oh, like Detroit. That's going to be $20 at Best Buy as opposed to $25 at Target and Walmart. So
good stuff.
I got the numbers.
Got the deets.
But let's go ahead and spend a handful to more on Soma.
Yes.
Because, oh my God, Soma.
It was so good, man. It was so good. I love the existential quandaries that is that game.
We'll put the spoilers here if people decide to go back and listen to this at some point. So I'll be honest, I played Soma in one sitting.
You are impressive.
Thank you.
That's impressive.
Shy Guy, actually. Quick side note, I'm really hoping to have Shy Guy on for one of these because he'll be here next Friday.
That'd be awesome.
And I'm hoping to record an episode with him, probably just a mini-sode. But so he said he wrote a song about Soma, not focusing on Soma, but dealing with like anxiety similar to what Soma gave you.
Yeah.
And I asked him if when you're done listening to it, does it make you want to curl up in a dark room like Soma did with me?
Yeah.
So he just liked that. So I don't know. Anyways, so when you booted it up, what did you know about this game?
So this streaming friend of mine who was also one of my mods on Twitch, he had streamed it recently, and he had jokingly referred to it like when he was streaming it, he would title his stream "Abusing Robots" or like being abusive towards robots, that kind of thing. And that was pretty much it. I knew it was by the same folks that did Amnesia, so I knew there was going to be monsters and there was not going to be combat, so to speak. That you'd be sneaking around things. And that was the extent of it. That was pretty much all I knew. And I mean, I obviously booted the robot thing. It didn't tip anything off to me, honestly. Like I didn't feel tipped off by it. It didn't, like, once you get to a certain point. I know you were saying we put up the spoiler warning, but I will try to be as generic as possible. Once you do reach a certain point and you interact with entities that believe they are human in a certain way.
Is it the point where you're like?
No, I mean it's the whole Amy and Carl situation.
Oh, okay.
Like you see what happened with them, and you're like, oh, I wonder if that happened with me too. And I made that comment, and yeah, that was like people in the stream were like, no, it was just me being like, it was just me musing. So no, it didn't ruin anything for me, which is good.
So I'd actually been following this from when they originally announced it.
Yeah.
Like I saw. They not leaked, but they showed a bunch of stuff that never even made the final cut of the game.
Oh, interesting.
Like at one point, there's a brain sitting on a pedestal and something stabs it and then you feel pain.
Oh, interesting.
So that doesn't make it into the final game.
That would have been interesting, yeah.
But the core theme behind the game of, if your consciousness gets copied somewhere else, is that copy still you?
Yeah.
I have had so many discussions with people because of that.
Yeah.
And they've actually written some really dark fiction set in it.
Yes.
Like they go into the backstory. Did you get to the part where it was talking about people getting their brains put into the Utopia probe thing?
You're talking about the Ark, right?
Yes.
I mean, I beat the game, so yes.
Oh, I thought, okay.
Yeah, I didn't beat it in one setting. Is what I was saying.
Okay. I thought you said you didn't beat it while you were streaming.
I didn't beat it during the Extra Life game day. I beat it the next day. Well, yes, actually the next day, the very next day. Yeah.
So yeah, there's like a whole big thing about the people killing themselves right before they go into the Ark.
Yes.
And I had read it. I'm like, ew.
Yeah.
And then I thought about it more, and I'm like, don't get me wrong, you wouldn't be in there. But like, wouldn't that, if there's only one of you existing at any point, like you're obviously not going in there because your consciousness isn't going in there.
Right.
But if there's only one of your consciousness and your consciousness is defining who you are, then you're kind of in there now.
Yeah.
So like it became a whole big thing with me and some of my friends. They're like, no, if it's not the original you, then it's not you. I'm like, but if it's everything you are, then, and what if there's only that thing left?
How do you define yourself?
Right.
Yeah.
So it got dark.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, there's a lot of very smart people that debate what sounds like an absurd likelihood, but still people that are saying that this is not completely it's not completely out of the question. The idea of like, what if our perception of reality is already being fabricated in some way?
Mm-hmm.
And if someone were to say like, oh, well, a copy consciousness of me obviously isn't me. This right here is the real me. Can you say that with at 100% utmost certainty? Some people would argue, no, you can't say that with like exactly 100% confidence. So it's just like you'd said, like, what is it? How do you define being human? How do you define the you that you think that you are? And how would a copy of that infringe upon your you-ness? Or would it? Would it impact it at all?
Well, that's the other thing I would bring up. Like, let's say that you go to bed tonight and someone makes an exact copy of you down to the brain scan, and they take the original and they incinerate it.
Yeah.
You wake up the next morning not knowing what happened to original you. Does that make you any less you?
Yeah. Yeah. I think if somebody is making the claim that like well, I don't know. This is now we're getting into an opinion, a co-opinion, if you will.
Oh,
I know. Oh, he said that. Oh, the confetti rains down from the ceiling, balloons.
Curtain.
The stream is canceled. No, it's I've thought about this, and I mean, like for me personally, it wouldn't bother me to like have a copy of my brain in some kind of ARC simulation thing, because for me, it doesn't take away from what I consider myself.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if one is going to like consider some kind of negative to that, they need to like answer the question: what does it mean? What are you? What do you consider existence, or how do you define yourself? And for me, it's like, well, I consider I am just a summary of my experiences and my emotions. That's like all I could. So, and if you could somehow digitize that to the umpteenth degree, then you got it. That's what else would you need?
Well, and that's where I did get semi philosophical.
Yeah.
Where I differentiated the person who was in the arc. That is Josh up until that point.
That's true.
That's where I can understand why you say it's not you. Because the next millisecond you spent in the fetid, rotting space, you are now different than the person who just went in there.
That's how the divergence happens.
Right.
Yeah.
So I can kind of understand why they kill themselves, sort of, because of a misunderstanding of consciousness and etc. But quick side note, this game is nothing like the Amnesia games. Just throwing that out there.
Well, I mean, I know the control scheme is similar, and like it's a spooky game.
So we recorded a podcast on Amnesia, Amnesia 2, and Soma.
Mm-hmm.
And we talk about how the first Amnesia in particular is a lot more about the jump scares. And near the tail end, it starts talking about how blue and orange morality can be when you're dealing with a non-human entity.
Yeah.
Semi-spoiler. And the second game has to do with, it's by the Chinese room with minimal oversight from Frictional.
Yeah.
You can tell it's by the Dear Esther guys because, oh my God, do they talk a lot.
Oh, okay.
But it's okay. It's not, it tries to get a little more philosophical and flowery about it. It's not as long or as difficult. Interesting postmortems on those games.
Yeah.
But the third game, Soma, and I am discounting Penumbra on this one. I'll admit I didn't play them. I looked into them. I have done my pants. No.
That's fair.
So the third game, there's not a lot of jump scares in Soma. There's just a lot of like when you get out of an area, or even when you're at the end of the game, you're like, I want to die.
Yeah, just lots of existential dread.
Now, you get to the end of the game and you're sitting.
Yeah.
You know, I think they only put that post-credits scene in there to keep you from actually killing yourself.
I mean, it ended exactly how I thought it was going to end. The main character, of course, has a reaction to the events that take place, but you've already seen a subset of those events take place already. So I was kind of like, I knew this was going to happen. I knew that how this instance of this individual was, how it was going to end for him, and it was not going to end well. if our mission was successful. And I mean, they say so many times, what's the freaking point? Why even bother going through all this? We are already in a dead world. Why go through all this trouble? And the recurring theme is like, it's better than nothing. It's something, man. It's all that we can do. Humanity is built on like trying to like do what we can to like further ourselves in some way. And that's if like this is like the last sputtering whisper of humanity, then it's at least we gotta take it home. We gotta see it through.
Well, and it's basically like the Voyager record on crack.
Yeah.
So I don't know,
the
like
Voyager ecosystem,
or
something.
Like, I mean, I'm not even gonna go down that rabbit hole.
But it's good though. I really enjoyed the game a lot. It wasn't what I was expecting. I was expecting a spooky game, and I got so much more.
I'll admit when I cracked, because I think I bought that game when it released.
Yeah.
And when I cracked it open, I knew some of the first monsters, and I knew there wouldn't be many, but I did not expect them to basically be almost like all the monsters were almost puzzle bossy.
Yes.
Because you only dealt with them once-ish, and they were all handled different ways.
Yes.
The only one that really gave me problems was the disco ball.
Disco ball guy hacked me up. Yeah. I will gladly admit that was probably my least favorite part of the game.
And let's see. So I got to ask, and if you're not comfortable saying it live, that's fine. Are you comfortable saying what choices you made? Yeah. So the one where the first time you copy your consciousness to the new suit, what'd you do with original you?
I pulled the plug.
Okay, cool.
No question. It was like I did think about it because it's like, so I'm about to leave. I'm about to take the Omni tool with me. So I'm locking the door behind me. The door in which we came in here was locked by the lady on the Omni tool. Homeboy doesn't have much for options. So this is a mercy killing.
Right. Yeah. I don't know how he would have been stuck there. It's not like he was going to starve to death.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
What were you going to do?
People in the stream were like, oh man, this is such a tough choice. And I was like,
nope.
No hesitation. Boop. I mean, I don't know. It was a very well done choice. Like they presented it very well, and it was interesting and very, very thought provoking. But when you really scrutinize it, the choice becomes pretty clear. So,
in my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's where it's less clear.
Yes.
What did you do with the guy who you loaded his consciousness to try and get the information out of him? Did you delete it or just leave it there?
I just left it there.
I deleted it because I personally don't know how I feel about the fact of consciousness being represented as data. So I don't know what happens when that's not on. I don't know if it's like they're just sleeping forever. And I know it's data, so they logically don't dream.
Right.
But we don't know what happens other than the fact it's dark. What if it gets reactivated by some malicious entity thousands of years down? Like, you don't know. We're leaving this up to the mercy. So I deleted it.
Yeah.
Like, I had no qualms deleting it.
That one was, I could kind of go either way. I didn't have any strong feelings either way. The only reason I ended up leaving it was because at one point, the Omni Tool lady, I can't remember her name, Catherine, I think, says that like when she's not powered on, it's just like, it's not that she's asleep. It's not that there's a void. It's just, there's just no time. There's just a pause and a play button. To her, it makes no difference. So I was like, well, to this person, it makes no difference either. So but like you said, what if some other entity would have come along and mess stuff up? Yeah, they're both equally valid in my opinion.
And don't you I know if you screw it up, he can freak out and it restarts.
Yes.
But like if it's a pause and a play, if his last memories or somebody got information out of him and then it's some other, I don't know. I wouldn't, if I was in that situation, just put me down. Like I don't.
Yeah, like that's a good point too, because like you're hitting the play button, it's going for a little bit, and then you hit the stop button, and then it goes back to that entry point. So that's a good point too. Your actions don't have any long-standing impact on this person's consciousness, quote unquote. But is that enough to justify leaving it? Yeah, lots of gray area.
Let's see. I believe there was technically a choice of whether or not you could kill the computer too. That's what I heard. Like you don't have to poison the computer and kill them. Apparently.
Oh, I'm sorry. You mean the WAU?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. You can just walk right out.
I had no idea.
I considered it because the door was unlocked, and I considered trying to not kill it. one of the people that was watching me stream it said that he chose to not kill it because arguably this thing is keeping alive a lot of different things that are conscious and for some definition alive and maybe human.
Okay, that's why I killed him, because that was the whole conflict there, is if it is keeps somebody alive to something that doesn't know the definition of life.
Yeah.
Like, especially when you dealt with the people who were living with their lungs on the outside because technically they were alive.
Yeah.
And they like kept them in this lotus eater machine where it's like, oh yeah, they are physically miserable, but they're mentally fine.
Yes.
Like, how is this better than just having it going in a simulation somewhere?
Yeah, exactly.
So I found myself playing Angel of Death everywhere.
I when I was faced with that, well, I wasn't 100% sure it was a choice, but I was thinking it might be about it. Like, I kind of hesitated, but ultimately reached the same conclusion. I was like, even if this is a choice, here comes my hand. Here we're going.
Yeah.
Here comes the butthole. Going for it.
Right up there.
Yeah. No lube.
And then just to wrap this up, because we've spent 15 minutes talking about it.
It's worth it. It's such a good game.
So you can also listen to our episode about scary games causing friction, I believe.
Yeah, that's good.
Anyways, at the end, I was right there with the computer lady, Catherine, when your protagonist like, why am I still here? Did I lose the coin flip? And she's like, it's not a coin flip.
Yeah, it's like,
you're not.
We've been through this,
like,
man.
3 times.
Yeah.
3 times.
Yeah.
And then she got so mad. I'm like, I'm there with you. And everything shuts down. Like, oh no.
It's the lights fading and
oh my God, just thinking about that.
Yeah.
Last note on that, actually did not have any optional trophies. Like, you got every trophy from just playing the game.
Yeah.
Well, that is exactly how you need to do trophies for this kind of game.
Oh, yeah.
You don't want to incentivize killing people or saving people. You don't want to incentivize playing it like you only make left turns, because then you take the impact of this. It's like, well, I was gonna kill these people because that's what lines up with my morals.
Yeah.
But I need the gold.
I mean, I guess it's one thing if it's incentivizing multiple playthroughs. Someone said there were multiple endings.
No.
And like they said that like your choices dictated like the dialogue at the end, and I was like, I can't see it, honestly.
I mean, maybe if it's just dialogue stuff.
Yeah.
But when you say multiple endings, I feel like Mass Effect 3.
Yeah, I think it was maybe what they meant was dialogue changes. Like, for instance, if there's one part where you have to kill a maintenance robot to get some kind of card out of its brain to plug into a majigger to make the whirligig do its gahootly do. I don't know.
Language.
And there's 2 robots you can choose, and I chose like there's a little helpful robot that was like a little dog and it was adorable. Then there was the maintenance robot who was crazy and silly. Of course, I killed the crazy maintenance robot. But but like the dialogue was like afterwards, like your character is like, oh man, what have I mean this robot was not making any sense. Like, they weren't fully with it. But I mean, I'm a robot too, so how am I any better? He was talking about the maintenance robot in the specific dialogue. If I would have killed the little doggy robot, he probably would have said like, I killed this thing that helped me. This thing saved my life in multiple instances. What the fuck's wrong with me? So if I had to guess, that's probably what they meant.
Okay.
So,
all right. Not infamous, good ending, bad ending.
Yeah,
all
exactly.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about the whole like achievement trophy thing with games like that. So
we have a episode on that.
Oh, I haven't listened to that. I confess, I haven't listened to that one.
Well, I talk about how trophies and achievement, basically that they incentivize the wrong kind of behavior in those kind of games. That's why for like the Walking Dead Telltale games, there were never trophies for anything other than finishing chapters, because that would incentivize you to do something other than the thing you wanted to do.
Especially if you're like reading the achievements ahead of time.
Right.
Because that could be like some spoiler territory too, so that could be scary.
Well, that's the other thing that people are real gung-ho about. It's like, I don't want to miss any
chapters.
Go to next.
Yeah, I try to. I don't even like look at the achievements until after I've at least played through a bunch of the game. Just
you should listen to that episode too. But about how many more can I give? I'm kidding. All right. Well, we have taken up quite a bit of time on this one.
It was good.
So, Alex, thank you tremendously for coming on. My name is Josh, and this has been Random Thoughts.